Okay, you guys, so this is my second time doing this. I do not know what is going on. Um, okay. I do not know what is going on, but basically, this is my second time doing this, and I'm okay. This is fine being my second time because the first time I was a little nervous, but also my voice is still, it was fine. It was fine, but I was doing this on my camera and my camera died, and then when I tried to connect it again to it was not giving. So anyway, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this quickly, and I want to make sure that I want it to be effective. It took me a long time to make this video, this PowerPoint, everything, because I wanted it to be perfect. I am a perfectionist when it comes to working and different things of this nature. It's hair day as well. That's why we were late doing this video. um it seems to me that there are forces that do not want this video out, and I would understand why. I do understand why, but here's the thing: it has to go out. It is important. Testing, making sure that you can hear me. Okay, I hope that you can hear me. I don't even know if there's a way for me to just, because this is the second time and this is the first time we're having like real technology problems or whatever, and I'm literally on a laptop. Like, I'm not dealing with this. So I just want to make sure I'm here. Girl, it says I'm streaming, but
I switched from
hold
YouTube TV
on.
to Philo, and it's saving me
Because
six
this
hundred
is the
dollars a year.
second
That's a round
time.
trip flight for my next getaway.
Okay.
Or just switch from YouTube TV to Philo, and it's saving me six.
Okay, that's me. Okay, I just want to make sure, I have to check and make sure that it's me on live because this is the second time we've done this and I don't want to mess up. And this is very important to me. Okay, we will need to go ahead and get ourselves. That makes me wonder, was I even talking to anybody? Which is probably why I didn't have a voice because I wasn't even talking to nobody. Anyway, moving on. Moving on. Moving on. This is a comprehensive guide, okay, to build an ancestor altar that works, okay? This is about building an ancestor altar that works. But before you can build an ancestor altar that works, you need to understand the energy that you are working with. So let's get into some preliminaries. Okay, copyright. This video and its content is protected by the copyright law. Okay, no part of this is gonna be a masterclass. Okay, no part of this masterclass can be reproduced and distributed or transmitted without my permission. Okay, so please do not try it. Okay, just want to keep that. Just got it. All right. Disclaimer. Okay, we want to make sure that this is educational and informational purposes only. While we have been making sure that this is accurate. Okay, but it's theoretical. Okay, if you need a professional, go seek one. Okay, all right. Because I was a teacher, we have to talk about the learning objective. Okay, by the end of this masterclass, I want you to understand the cultural and spiritual significance of ancestor veneration. Key, we're not going to talk about key rituals, but things like that. Analyze historical roots, contemporary relevance. Um, Reflect on personal and community connections. So this is the goal. This is the goal. Okay, for this live. Okay. A few things to keep in mind, and I'm gonna just come off of here so we can get the whole thing. But um, discernment. You have to have spiritual discernment when you are working with your ancestors or in the spiritual background. At all times, you have to have spiritual discernment. Spiritual discernment will keep you protected. Emotional and mental balance is very important, especially when you are working with different indigenous, okay, energies and different things of that nature. Also, hoodoo is a closed practice. Okay, some people look, it is closed. I am sharing this to the best of my ability, but I'm not going to go over everything. If I feel like I shouldn't go over it, I'm not going to go over it. But at the same time, we'll talk about how I feel about information, but it's just like, it's not for everybody. So don't insert yourself in places that we ain't talking to you. It's not like we're not being rude, but it's just not for everybody. Okay. Also, ancestor veneration, that is for everyone. Everybody can venerate their ancestors. However, in this video, I am talking specifically to African American people. Okay, in America. Yeah, I'm talking to African American people in the Americas, if you will. That's who I'm talking to. Okay, so we just keep that, because when you're talking about an ancestor altar that works, if you are tapping into the wrong energy, then your ancestor altar will not work because you are tapping into the wrong information. You tapping into the wrong thing. Okay, you need to make sure that you are hitting the chord, playing the note that's the correct note for the energy that you are trying to bring into your situation. Okay, I cannot provide any information that is outside of the information that I have. Okay, all right, just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. We got 40 slides to go through. Okay, it says 39. I think it's about 40 slides, and this is the second time that I'm doing this because apparently the first time I did it wasn't right. So I don't know. All right, my background. Okay. Howard University, the Mecca, honestly. Libra, Sun, Scorpio Moon, Scorpio Stellium, okay, which is why I am obsessed with the Pluto. We'll talk about it, okay. And I have a lot of Uranus placements. Who knew? I was like, where is this instability coming from? Where is that? Because I like stability. I'm a Taurus ascendant. Okay, listen, I like stability. I love that. Girl, whole time I got Uranus hitting my sun, Uranus is hitting my whole situation. And I'm like, wow, so I'm the problem. Woo. I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm the problem. I'm the unstable person. Anyway, also, I am a mythology connoisseur. My favorite classes were AP English, mythology, script writing, astrology, sacred text. I'm a librarian. This whole thing is hilarious, but I am a librarian and I love collecting. People ask me like what I like to read. That is what I like to read. I don't like to tell people because people are like, you know what I mean? So I just say something like, "Oh, I like to read The Secret or something." So you know it's spiritual nature, but you don't know how deep we are in there. I am deep in there, okay? Also, my favorite classes were African American Studies at Howard, but my very even better than that one. Even better than that one is going to be African American Women's Study. I took every class by that lady. She had whatever class she had, I took all of them. I loved her. And that was also virtual. Ooh, it was virtual. She was ahead of her time. She was ahead of her time. She was. She really was. In 2017, she was ahead of her time doing those classes virtual. Amen. Okay. Also, I collect vast amounts of information. I'm a connoisseur of information. Scorpio moons, we like to investigate, get to the bottom. I'm a librarian. I research. That's what I like to do. Writing research papers is my favorite thing to do. I'm good at it. You okay? All right. Uh Also, you need to know about me. Genesis 32, wrestling with the angels. That's a very good theme of my life. We wrestle. We wrestle with it because we'll talk about it later on in the video, but we wrestle with those angels because sometimes life be life, and I want to know where my blessing is at. And I'm not gonna keep playing with y'all. I'm not. Listen, I'm not. I want my blessing. If you don't know, Genesis 32 is the Bible passage where um don't laugh. Jacob was wrestling with the angel because he was supposed to get his blessing. Now Jacob, girl, Jacob cheated his brother Esau out of the kingdoms or whatever because, but at the same time, Jacob, like, did he cheat him or did God really like him? Okay, anyway, because Jacob wanted spiritual enlightenment, right? And Esau wanted to get paid. He wanted to have riches. And so God is always going to prefer people who want spiritual enlightenment. Listen, I don't believe in one, I don't like to share. Number one. Number two, I'm all about spiritual enlightenment. Do I want to check? Absolutely. But for me, this is a free thing. I'm doing this for free out the kindness of my heart. Also, because God has also paid me, gave me a good faith payment. But I want to share, and I wanted to, it took me a long time to make this video because I wanted to make sure that this video was going to be um even, like when you look up ancestor veneration, there's a lot of information from everywhere and everybody, because it's a everybody thing, but it's not, it's missing something. And so I want to add my piece of the puzzle, and hopefully it will help someone. Like in my other videos when I talk about having keys and being able to open doors for people, I'm hoping that I can help you connect to something that will help you to do something with your life. Okay, I do not like to share. I do not. I like to collect the information and keep it for myself. If you like tarot, I'm like that hermit card. I stay in my lane. I mind my business. You know what I'm saying? But girl, we got to share it, because when I share what I need to share with you, you're going to be wow. Now, if you're not into it, just go away. But I have to share it because I feel like I have a service to share. And we're going to talk about all of that later on, but I have to. Also, being an African American person, black person, I believe that we are old information. There is a lot of information that is initiatory. You have to be initiated to understand this information. And so it creates this, you know, this frustration, because how can you truly live within your purpose or do what you feel like you need to do when you feel like you don't have all of the information available to you? So it is very, very important to keep that in perspective, okay? But at the same time, you don't always have to know everything to get the job done, because our ancestors did not have all the information that they felt like they needed to have. They just knew what they needed to do, period. Okay. Freedom and transformation, uh, they did that. Okay. I feel like the energy working with our ancestors is extremely important. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you why. Let me get into the video. Okay, let me stay focused. I don't want to get off. Okay, so the why is this important? Why is this important? I'm gonna go into it. I'm gonna try to stay focused. I see the numbers and I didn't get views. I look crazy. I'm worried. Okay, anyway, let me stay focused. Okay, why is ancestor veneration right now so important to black people? And I'm talking to black people. Okay. Pluto is in Aquarius. He already here, girl. Okay. He is in Aquarius. And this is talking about generational shifts. And I'm not going to read these slides to you because I'm probably going to just give the slides to you so you can look at this later, because I don't want the video to be too long, because when I get to the part that needs to be long, I want that part to be long, but I don't want to stay on here longer than an hour. But we're going to do what we got to do. Anyway, Pluto is in Aquarius. Who is Pluto? Let's talk about Pluto. Pluto is the god of the underworld and the dead. If you're woo woo, rock with me, okay? Let me connect some dots for you, okay? I did the research. All right. He was associated with the underworld and the dead, but also wealth, agriculture. He's also Hades, all right? So you probably, oh my God, oh my God. Let me explain. Okay. All right. So what is this going to mean specifically for black people? Because when you look at astrologers, um, all over the YouTube and everywhere, you know, they're talking about Pluto going into Aquarius, but they don't talk about what it means specifically for black people. Okay. All right. So collective power, getting your voice back, right? Collective technology innovation, that's AI, Afrofuturism, restructuring the power dynamics in movements, media, and cultural narrative. Something that really came to my right attention is going to be the Sinners movie. It is. I've read something where they were talking about every time vampires come out, that's when you know you're gonna have a recession. But don't worry about that recession because we are talking about African American veneration of the ancestors, and that is going to help you in these times. Okay, but the fact that I don't know if he was a screenwriter or a producer, he came up with this amazing deal for himself. Okay, amazing deal for himself. Never heard of before. And you know what? That is going to shift Hollywood. Yeah, it's going to shift how movies and things are made, you know? Yeah. Okay. Having your own platform to tell your own story, right? Moving on. Technology and surveillance and digital liberation. Okay. So Aquarius also rules technology and everything like that. As you know, we have AI, right? AI and everything. So you will have new opportunities of building wealth through this technology. However, you do have intensified surveillance and data profiling and policing in digital spaces, which is probably why I don't feel like I want to make this video, but I'm going to do it because, you know, you are able to reach so many people that you would have never met, right? And it's important for us to have this information. I'm going to talk about why, but it is important for us to have this information. But with this information, you have to have discernment. Okay. Another thing we need to talk about is digital sovereignty. You probably like, what is that, girl? Let me tell you. When I did records and information management, most like the U.S. government and corporations, they have what they call retention schedules. And so with retention schedules, they hold information, personal identifiable information for a specific amount of time. However, in big data and tech and different things of that nature, social media, they do not have retention schedules on how long they will keep your information. They will keep your information indefinitely, or they will take your name off of it, sell it to the highest bidder, and then those people will figure out a way to put your name back on it. And that's how they get around that. There are no laws that govern the retention schedules of personal identifiable information. You're welcome. So, next thing, ancestral and future merging. Okay, so we're bringing the past to the present and moving into the future. So in my other video, when I talked about how we are running the water clean, right? When I told you we were running the water clean, um, that's what we're doing. We're healing the trauma of generational patterns, uh, just curses, everything. We're doing it all right now. Okay? We're that's that energy right there, that Pluto energy, that transformational energy. Okay? Moving on, decolonializing your spiritual and social structure. Here's the thing. Um, hold on, y'all. I'm drinking water and some Kool-Aid. Okay, so it says decolonializing your spiritual and social structure. A lot of us, because I'm not going to say we're all 100% into African traditional religion. We're not. We're not. Most of us are Christianity and everything like that, which is completely fine. However, as we are moving into this new age, we see a resurgence. Even with that movie center, like we see, and I haven't even seen the movie. I can't, and I haven't seen it. I think it's great. I have not seen the movie, but why haven't I seen the movie? I know you're talking about why haven't you seen the movie? I haven't seen the movie because I try not to watch anything that is like scary or anything of that nature. I'm gonna get around to it maybe, but I don't know. I just haven't. I'm gonna watch it like maybe over the summer, but right now I'm working on something and it requires that I stay focused. The fact that my voice is half gone and half working is the fact that I have not been staying focused and I have to pay for that. So I'm trying to get my life back together. I'm trying to get, so But I believe that it's a great story from what I've heard, and I want to watch it. And after I watch it, I will do some type of like a review. I love script writing, film studies at Howard University as well. So I was in radio, TV, and film, so school of C. So this is right up my alley, and I want to make sure that I'm dedicating the time. Like right now, girl, school and everything, I'm trying to make it. I am literally trying to make it. Okay, all right. But right now, we are seeing the systematic breakdown of colonial, capitalist, respectability politics, all of that. Right now, is everybody going to be a hoodoo practitioner? No, everybody's not going to do that. That's not everybody for. It's not for you to do. However, we are seeing a resurgence or like a renaissance, if you will, going back to African traditional religions and ideas, and I think that's a wonderful thing. And that is happening now. Okay, initiation, not comfort. So we're moving more into radical truth telling, innovation, um, breaking away from identity, gender, and family norms. So if you have things in your family that, girl, these things don't serve your highest good, then, because some people think that Pluto is bad because you saw Hades and all these different things of that nature, but it's all about transformation for your highest good. Even in the Bible, the devil can't do anything to you. You know what I'm saying? God has authority. And it's all for your highest good. It's to test you, tried and tested for quality assurance. That's what it's for, right? And if you are unwilling to change, if you are unwilling to become a better person, then things will be harder for you. If you are unwilling to do what you need to do for your life path, because again, we're going to talk about it later, you will have a hard time. If you are unwilling to pay your debts, if you are unwilling to do your job, if you are unwilling to do, it comes out in the wash. And Pluto is not playing. I have this theory that Black people love Pluto in relationships, in dynamics. Black people love Pluto. we love Pluto, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay. Pluto, the last time Pluto was in Aquarius was in 1777 to 1798. Now, if you know history, you know that during that time we had the American Revolution. But let's talk about the Haitian Revolution. Okay, most important and successful Black led revolution in modern day history. Do you understand why I'm telling you this is not for everybody? Because this chord, the note that I'm playing here, is not for everybody. Okay, it's not going to resonate with everybody. So everybody should not be in the room. Okay, I'm just saying, everybody should not be in the room because I'm not talking to everybody. I'm sorry. Okay, because it's extremely volatile energy, and I'm going to explain. Okay, enslaved Africans, okay, rose up and defeated the French colonial rule, ultimately abolishing slavery and founding the first Black republic. This happened the last time Pluto was in Aquarius. Moving on, the rise of abolition movements. Black people got their freedom the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, baby. It's the power to the people for me. Moving on, American Revolution. Black people were fighting on both sides, but they were fighting to see who was gonna give them the freedom. who gonna give us some freedom? Who got the freedom? And who we need to talk to about this freedom thing? Okay, birth of free Black communities in Sierra Leone, resettlement sites, okay. And then you have Black intellectual and spiritual resistance, right? So you have the early Black churches, right? So this is Richard Allen African. This is help from ChatGPT, but Richard Allen's African Methodist Episcopal Church. Episcopal, they had a lot of like practices, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. And why is this important? Lastly, if you don't know, there was a plantation that burned down. Literally the other day, which is why I was like, I need to get this video up right now. I need to get this video up because Pluto in Aquarius is talking about revolution from the below. Uh, Bible verse that just came to my mind: those that were first will be last, and last will be first, or something like that. I don't know. You have the systematic collapse of colonial, imperial, and slavery systems. You have the birth of the Black autonomy, Pan Africanism, organized resistance, and the Black intellectual and spiritual political leadership. Okay, it is more important now than ever for you to control and conserve your energy. That would be your thoughts and emotions, and tap into the ancestors. That is what I've been trying to say in all my videos. I just get so excited because the funniest thing to me came, and it was, the world is burning down. Literally, these old systems are breaking down. They're just breaking down, right? And Black people have their boots on the ground, and they are doing the electric slide. Now, what is the electric slide? The electric slide is literally the cosmograph from the Congo cosmograph here. Okay, let me see if I can get here. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Because this is out of order a little bit. Okay, so the counterclockwise is a sacred dance, okay, believed by some scholars to represent the full cycle of life through the phases of birth, childhood, adulthood, death, and rebirth. As presented here is the Congo cosmograph, okay? It's the ring shout, basically what we are doing when we do the electric slide. And the funny thing about it is we have our boots on the ground. We're going to talk about that later on. But if you want to know what book I got that from, that is called Mojo Working. It's on page 19. I love that author. She's great. Also, it can represent principles of the Ankh. All right, life and procreation, male and female, all of that energy is in one symbol and one, like the whole thing. Okay. All right. So, why do Black people love Aquarius? Now, this is going to get a little scary. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But you got to stay with me. So, who is Pluto for Black people? Because we talked about, and shout out to this man. This is Lance Reddick. He played this character on American Horror Story. But this is not, like, they messed it up. I don't know if they're doing their research or not. They clearly weren't doing their research, but I'm going to explain. So, who is Pluto for Black people? The closest thing that I can tell you that Pluto is going to be for Black people is going to be Baron Samedi. Now, in this video here, this picture, this is the name is Papa Legba, but this is not Papa Legba. This is Baron Samedi. I'm not going to give you too much information on Baron Samedi because you don't need the information if you don't need the information. But it's important to know who and why we love that. Okay? Black people have always celebrated death. Okay? Because I don't want to scare y'all. I don't want to scare you. Okay, I collect all information. I don't care what it. Look, I'm going to review all information and test it. Okay, but I just want to share it so you understand what it is, because that is why you should not be in the room if you should not be in the room. Okay, like it's given very much why in, and I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you why. But Black people have always celebrated death. If you think about Harry Potter, when he said, when they're talking about the Deathly Hollows, and the last one, they greeted death as a friend. That's how Black people view death. Okay, homegoing. Earth is not our home. We're just passing through. Okay, if you are not on the physical, then you are with your heavenly Father, right? Then that there's only two options. That's where you at, baby. Captured Africans would jump from the slave ship because they knew, okay, that passing and going home, right? Their real home was better than what was going to await them in the new world. But we thank our ancestors, the ones that made it to the new world, right? Because without their sacrifice, we would not be here, right? And we would not have created the change that we have here in America. So we thank them and we hold space for their sacrifice and their The fact that they went through what they went through. Okay. And that is another reason why you should not be here if you should not be here. Period. Because this is extreme energy right here. Circle of life. Death is only the beginning. Also, it's important to know that Black people have always, always, I'm talking about all over the world, have always believed in the law of conservation. Yes. Energy can never be created or destroyed. It is either transformed or transferred, right, from one party to the next. And I have a picture here of Anthony Anderson, Howard alum, in the movie Two Can Play That Game. When he tells Morris Chestnut, that's how I learned this law. Moving on. All right, so we're going to talk about Mama Zogby. Rest in peace. She passed away in 2022. She was wonderful. She wrote books about the Sibyls, Mommy Wata and the Sibyls. You should definitely look her up. I think she's a native of Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. But she had a wonderful thing happening. And so in one of her interviews, I could not find it, but she did say that Black people, African Americans, due to slavery, are more likely going to be from hot spirits. And I'm going to explain that. And I put this here. She didn't say forgotten black cocoa. I wrote that. Okay. That was in my notes and I was trying to type it out real quick before this video started. But girl, we ran out of time. And so I'm going to explain it to you. When Black people were pulled from their homeland, they were pulled from their tree, right? Pulled from their tree. And they were cut off from their ancestral knowledge. They, in my book, one of these books, I have a lot of books. This is one of my books, and I'll touch on it in another. But this book here is Egun. This is the Ifa. Let me see. Hold on. This is the Ifa concept of ancestor veneration. Okay. On page one. On page one, baby. Look, I want it to be well researched, okay? I don't want you to think I'm just playing around. I am serious, okay, when I talk about what I read. Okay, on page one, he says that Ifa teaches the idea that you cannot know who you are if you cannot call the name of your ancestors going back 7 generations. I have pulled my family tree, and I am 31, and I can take my ancestor tree all the way up to the inventories. And that will probably get me up to 6 generations, 5 or 6. So that means if you do not know who you are, then that puts you like on forgotten. Like you've seen the movie, you've seen the show Coco. They have where the family members are remembered and the family members are not remembered. Well, that will put us in that realm. Well, in the forgotten land, who is over there? There's always a deity or somebody that is watching over all of these different things, okay? There is something there, okay? That is going to be your Baron Samedi, your Mama Bruchette. Okay, and I have the picture here. And then it's also going to be Papa Legba. And it's going to be some other people, but I'm not going to go into all of that information. But that is what they mean when you say hot spirits. That is what we're saying, okay? The thing is, it's different depending on your lineage and what you have in your, like, you have to think about it. We come from Africa, or, you know, different bloodlines and different things of the nature. So, excuse me, it's going to represent different energy for different people, but the concept is still the same. Okay, so we need to talk about calm versus active, because you're probably like hot spirit. What is a hot spirit? Okay, hold on. Before we get into that, I want to say this about Mama Zogby. You should definitely go watch her video. There was an interview she did. Go to interview part 9. She talks about ancestor veneration and what African American people in America can do for ancestor veneration. She basically said, ancestor, you do your water, your gin, your Coke, Sprite, bathe. No, you can't be on your period. No, you have to have your complete genealogy, as complete as you can get it, right? And we'll talk about that. And then also, she says that what your ancestors cannot do or could not do for you while they were living, they can do for you in their death, right? Okay. And then these forces are here to help. Keep that in mind. We'll talk about that. And when you trace your mother, father, mother, father, mother, father, because it can be very messy with family members having so many kids. So if you trace it from the mother to the father, mother to the father, mother to the father, it's easier for you to figure out who is who because the family tree gets real messy. Okay, we'll talk about it later. Okay, we'll talk about it later. But it's important because ancestors, whether you get initiated or do whatever, they are the focal point. Okay, and we're going to talk about more later, but you need to understand this energy. Okay, Anansi, he's the first guy, if you watch the show, American Gods. Okay, Orlando Jones played Anansi. Anansi is the first god that was brought to the New World by enslaved Africans as a way to tell their stories, their proverbs to their children, right? Pass that information down. You have to think a lot of our history is passing down through talking, a conversation, a story, folk tales and fables, right? All right, proverbs. Okay, he's going to represent a form of Papa Legba. Papa Legba Ishu is always honored first. He's also the messenger, the crossroads. And that brings us back to the Congo cosmograph, which looks a lot like a crossroads because it's a big old, it's very simple. Very simple to me. I don't know. I don't know. But I just want to tie all of these loose ends together. I don't know if everything is in order because of this system that I'm using, but I did the best I could, you guys. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the temperament of the ancestors. Temperament of the ancestors. And we're going to talk about hot and cold, but I don't want to say cold because it's not hot and cold. It's active and calm. Okay? Active and calm. That's you know what I mean? So think about God, okay? And you seen the movie Bruce Almighty. That is one of my favorite movies. Shout out to Jim Carrey. We love him. And Morgan Freeman. We love him. He's a Mississippi native. Hello. All right. Calm. Sitting in heaven with the magnifying glass. That is what we think about because it's like, what are you doing? The world is going crazy right now. The world is going nuts. So it's going, what is going on down here? Like, like what you doing up there? I ain't gonna lie. I be praying like that all the time. And I know God got a long little file cabinet with me in there because I never get off the line, you guys. I never get off the line. I never get off the line. I know my family is up there too, acting a fool because what are you doing? What's happening? That is calm. They aloof, just doing their thing, just enjoying the day. Like, oh, y'all going through that? My bad. I had no idea that you didn't have lights. I had no idea. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. I was in the shower. What did you need? Like, wake up. No, just playing. We're just playing. But yeah, it gets like that, okay? And so that's what I want you to think of when you think of calm. They just kind of take their time. They do it. Yes, we're gonna do it. We love you. But girl, is it that serious? Yes, it's that serious. Okay? Hot spirits. Hot spirits. Listen, when you think of active, boots on the ground. Listen, let's go back to when I said we were doing our electric slides. While the world is going through what they going through, Black people are doing the electric slide. Black people are on a spiritual, I don't even feel like we have to communicate these things. We don't have to communicate. We have all collectively decided within ourselves, girl, they gonna fight it. We gonna do what we've been doing, and we're prioritizing ourselves. It's a different level, and I like that we are conserving our energy and putting our energy to the best way that we can do it, even on a spiritual, financial level. But it's important to know the temperament of the ancestors. Ancestors are active. They have their boots on the ground, right? They are closer to you because they walked with you. Okay, they're closer to earth because they just got through living. They was just here. You know what I'm saying? They have walked, though. They understand the plane They understand human emotions and circumstances. You know what I'm saying? Think of it like this. Like, I love Mariah Carey, but there's an interview that Mariah Carey did, and she was talking to the interviewer, and she was like, "We get electricity for free. We live in America, and electricity is free." And the interviewer is like, "No, we have to pay for that." No, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was hilarious. Meanwhile, meanwhile, your ancestors are just, they're boots on the ground. They're very much YN energy. YN. They don't like the, they don't like the, but I'm saying they're giving that energy. They are. Okay, Beat Thone Thugs and Harmony. See, meet us at the crossroads. We love that song. And what crossroads would they be talking about? Just asking. Moving on. Rest in peace to ODB. We like it raw. That's the energy that you have with your ancestors. I'm telling you right now. So if I am not talking to you, I am not talking to you. Not being rude, but it's just like, this is the chord. This is the musical note. Everybody is not going to be able to hit the musical note because of the energy and the temperament of this energy. It's not for everybody. That's why it has to be a close practice. I feel like there's always this thing of why can't we be included into certain spaces? And it seems like there's this thing where people just don't want to allow African Americans to have their thing. They want to be included in everything that we do, but it's just kind of like, girl, I'm sorry. This is some volatile information. And I just don't think, I'm giving you plenty of warnings, okay? So please just go away. All right. Who are your guides? Let's start talking about actual ancestor veneration. Because you're like, girl, when you gonna get to the point? I know, but I have to give you the preliminary information so that when you start working with your ancestors, you know how to work with them. You know how to meet them. You know what to expect. You have to know these things, because I don't want you to go into it and you just lost. So there are other videos out. Go watch those videos and add mine to the mix just for research purposes. Okay. So who are your guides first and foremost? Okay. More than likely your guide, or when you say guides, who are your guides? So like, you have your main ancestor. You have your main uh, person that walks with you. You have your main advisor. It is more likely going to be a passed on loved one that came before your birth, around your birthday, um, while you were a teenager, around that time, up into your teenage years. That is going to be your guy. It's going to be somebody who is walking with you, somebody that was there with you, right? It's going to be different for everybody. This has to be researched on a personal level. It is different. Okay. But I will say, nobody that passed away within the recent year, it was somebody that has been walking with you in life. So you have been living and they have been walking with you the entire time, not somebody that just went off yesterday. And why do I say that? Because we're talking about spiritual discernment. Okay? Spiritual discernment means different things to plenty of people, but for me, it means common sense. Common sense. Okay, celebrities, not your guides. Okay, not your guides, because you don't have really like a personal connection with them. They're not even in your bloodline, you know? Um, Anybody that wants you to join them, no, no. Um, no. Because, okay, I gotta explain, because I feel like, why should I have to explain stuff like that? But I'm gonna explain it. Anybody that wants you to be on there with them is not the one for you. Why? Because your ancestors, your guides, they serve the purpose of helping you with your spiritual alignment, okay, enlightenment, your journey, right? So it serves them no purpose for you to leave early. You need to finish your job. So no, they don't want you to join early. Like if you watch the movie Coco, they said we need to get you back on the living side, baby. We need you back over there. You should not be over here. It ain't your time. It's not your time. We need you back over there. That's all they wanted to do was send him back. How do we send him back? How do we send him back? Okay, what we gonna do? We gotta send him because here's the thing. If you don't do your job, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, we have to reincarnate over and over and over again with you. And we have to keep doing this homework with you, sitting at the table. How long is this going to take for you to learn your lesson? Right? Listen, also, anybody in sales. So if somebody's trying to sell you something, they want you to make a sale. No, that's not your person. That's not who it is. It's not. Because why we need to sell? You don't need to sell nothing. You don't need to sell nothing for nothing. Nothing. Sales. Absolutely not. I shouldn't have to say stuff like that, but I'm going to say it anyway. Anybody that wants you to make a deal? Absolutely not. We don't make deals. We don't. For what? We're talking about ancestors. We're talking about your guides. You don't have to make a deal. You don't have to sign nothing. There is no signature. Anybody that have a problem with you calling your heavenly father, anybody that got a problem with you calling for your troops, calling for protection, if you can't say the Lord's Prayer, if you can't say Psalm 23, not for you. Not for you, baby, because we always remain protected. It's not for you. Anybody that got a problem with that, that's just not for you. It's just not. It is not. If you can't say a spiritual protection right, if you can't have a Bible on the side, no, not for you. That's just my personal opinion coming from a black person in America. Okay? I was brought up in the church, Baptist, from Mississippi. Like, anybody that got a problem with some people like, oh, I don't like the Bible. I don't like all this other stuff. Listen, I respect what my ancestors respected. Okay? My ancestors were in the church. My grandmother, they were in the church. They were praying church ladies. So I'm not going to discount the things that they held dear to them just because I feel like it's uneven. Someone that I like to read mythology. I like to read the sacred texts from all over the world, but I'm not going to throw away the one thing that they believed in. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that at all because they respected it. My grandmother, she's living. She respects it. I respect it. And we're going to talk about what it means to venerate your ancestors and everything. Like, why is it so important? I hold that very dear. I'm not going to discount the things that they believe in. Do I feel like it's uneven? Yes, but I'm going to do research, scholarly research to do, you know what I'm saying? I treat it like a science experiment. I treat it like a research paper. You have to test these things. You see what I'm saying? But as it relates to who your guides are, like anybody that has a problem with you maintaining what you need to maintain for protection and discernment is not on your team. Some people might not like that, but that's too bad and so sad. Okay? Period. Okay. I went on a tangent. Hold on, let me get some water. Okay. The other part to that is when you go to the cave, you only pick up what belongs to you. If you've seen the movie Aladdin, he was supposed to go in that cave and he was only supposed to get the lamp. That's all you're supposed to be getting up out of there. Period. Okay? Don't go up in there picking up gold, all this other stuff. You're supposed to get this lamp. That's it. You're supposed to get this enlightenment. My voice is back. You're supposed to just get what you're supposed to be getting. Okay? That's all you getting. That's all we came in here for. We didn't even come in here for this rug. The rug just came with us. Okay? Only coming for the lamp. Listen, the people that know you, they already know you. Right? They've been there. They with you right now, right? Girl, they already talking to you. So it's nothing that you have to do outside of yourself. Nothing you have to do outside of yourself. Okay? And I have this theory. It's a hot take. It is highly disrespectful for you to call deities outside of your ancestors before your ancestors. Okay? Why do I say that? Because one, your ancestors walk with you and they connect you with who you're supposed to talk to. Okay? Um, Number two, your ancestors can move things quicker than these deities. They have a personal connection. Your ancestors have direct authority because it is through the womb of your mom, her mother, and her mother. That is how you got here. They have direct authority over you. Period. Period. So it is disrespectful to talk to a deity before you talk to your ancestor. My other take, and this is me wrestling, wrestling with the spirits. Okay. Excuse me. I'm sorry I burped. Energy is embedded into every fabric of our being. Okay. And I say that because as someone that looked into mythology and the religions of uh, African traditional religions, so like Ifa, the Orisha, and different things of that nature. And I wonder, how our gods could allow something like slavery and different things of that nature to, um, how they could allow something like that to happen to us. And not just slavery, but just like the systematic breakdown of our communities. Because you have to think about it. Black people, even with going through slavery, they were able to gain their freedom, able to be seen as human, going from having the same value as a table, less than a table, right? Being traded on the stock market, right? And then moving into their own personhood with freedoms and ideas and expression. That takes some real power, some real some real good energy. And they never got initiated for that. You see what I'm saying? But my question is, what happened to our African gods? What happened? What did they do? Right? And so what came to me is that there is a Orisha Yemaya. She was upset about the slavery. My dog is waking up. She was upset about the slavery, and so she traveled over to the New World with us. That's a story that I read, and so that made me feel better. And that's also a testament of when you ask the correct questions, when you ask certain questions, you get the answer that you need to help you with your path or whatever. Um, Again, energy is embedded into everything that we do, everything that we are, everything about us. It's there. People believe that we don't have a culture, but we do. Okay, Black people, the energy is so high. The energy is so strong. Okay, so strong within our community, and so it is powerful. It can be extremely volatile. So again, if this is not for you, it is not for you. Okay? All right. Your ancestors, right? Come first. All right. And they will direct and protect you. And all the things that they will help you out. Okay. All right. I hope I'm making sense. All right. I'm sorry. I'm loud for no reason. Why am I so loud? Okay. Did we go over that? I think we did. I think we did. All right, so now we're talking about who goes on the altar. Okay. Referring back to this book, you can get this on Amazon. I also have a Amazon store if you want to check that out with all my links and stuff like that. But this is a Igum by I'm sorry if I can't pronounce it. This is Awa Balokun Batumbi. I have a lot of his books, and I'm not initiated, but I like to, if the information is available, I would like to read it. So going back to my statement, it says Ifa teaches the idea that you cannot know who you are if you cannot call the name of your ancestors going back 7 generations. I have this done. And I am up to 5 to 6 with the enslaved inventories. Some people would not be able to go because some people, like, they probably didn't keep detailed records. You see what I'm saying? And mine is pretty extensive. Okay. So does that mean, my question I have here is, does that mean that we're cut off from consciousness? I don't think that we're cut off from consciousness, but there is something. Okay, it says the ability to call the names of your ancestors is believed to make it possible to seek your ori, or consciousness, in the world. This is uniquely this is a uniquely African worldview related to both the Yoruba concept of good character and the concept of reincarnation. So it has to do with your life purpose, right? Your life purpose and all of that information. So you know what I mean? Like you gonna have to go back as far as you can, right? But if it is, like it says, African traditional religion is not for everyone. But if it is, we need, you know what I'm saying? We gotta do some more research. But it's not our fault that we don't have that information. So it makes me upset because it's not my fault that I don't have this information. I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? So, but at the same time, you have to do the best you can, okay, with what you have. Because our ancestors in the new world did not get initiated to affect change in the world, right? They are the most powerful and they are up. When I say they are up, that means I have this joke. I have this joke. The joke is the joke when something good happened, like when I'm getting ready to go to work. Let me have some water. Hold on. Okay, when I get up and I'm going to work and I hit all green lights, when I hit all green lights, I know I'm like, oh, y'all up today, honey. That's what I mean. When I am driving somewhere and you gotta merge over into traffic, it's gonna be a lot of traffic because I stay prayed up. Period. I'm like, oh, y'all up. Period. Y'all up. Y'all are up. Like y'all are woken up. Y'all are moving. You got your coffee. You're working. You're working. That's what, when I say they're up, that means they're working. You're doing something. Okay, that's a joke. Not really though, because you have to work. Okay, so who goes on the altar, right? You need to trace your genealogy back. I'm sorry, I can't talk. Okay, trace your genealogy back as far as possible. Okay, so get the ancestry trial, and you need to download everything. Okay, print it out, have it in paper copy. Okay, and you need to do mother, father, right? Just to keep it even and organized. Okay, and embrace the journey and embrace the information that you get from learning about your ancestors, and just do the best that you can. And I'm gonna talk about my story. Okay, so my story, okay, with my ancestors. My grandmother, she's still living on my mom's side. She traced our family. I don't know, she was obsessed with it. In the 2010s, when I was in high school, she was obsessed with it. And so she has a Bible with all of the names of how far she was able to go. And from where she did, I went even further from there, right? I also did my father's side. Okay. Now I try to just do, now it's kind of hard to do when you say mother father when you're doing the genealogy research. Mainly because the women had maiden names. So you kind of have to go who's the dad and then go who's the dad, who's the dad. You see what I'm saying? Because those last names stay the same because of the man. But if you were to get your actual DNA done, I don't know if you should do that right now, especially because 23andMe sold to Ancestry. And see, when I told you about retention schedules for your information, now all of that information, when they did all that DNA research, all that stuff right there is now, you know, to the highest bidder, right? So I don't think that it's necessary for you to trace using your DNA. But if you could get the names, because we're just talking about spirituality here, you need to get the names. If you can get the names, if you can get as much as you can on your family tree, I will go ahead and get that. All right, but I will tell you this, it is extremely volatile because you have to look at the period of time. Go watch my other video, why you should make peace with the past. It is volatile energy. Okay? Volatile. I keep saying that word over and over again because it's hot. Okay? It is hot. Period. Period. Okay? All right. On my ancestor altar, and well, I'm not gonna say that I only work with a certain amount. I only work with my grandmother, and my great grandmother. I work with grandmothers. So if you think of Lamadma type spirits, grandmother spirits. That's what I work with. And so we'll talk about that in a minute why that's important, but it's very important for you to do the research. Okay? Now, who should be on your altar? And this is comes from the stories that you learn about your ancestors. Um Unfortunately, in my family, I noticed that there was questionable practices as it relates to the ages of the women and the ages of the men. And I also noticed that there were just some questionable vibes, and I just would prefer not to have that on my altar. Um, I have tested it and it works better for me anyway to just have women on my altar. Um, but for anybody, it works for whatever you need it to be. But I'm going to explain why. Okay, so major takeaways is that all of that energy has to be working. Okay, simple tests that you can do to see if things are working for you. One, your life should be getting better. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If your life start getting worse, that is not good. Okay? Your life should get better. Now, is your life going to be perfect? No, it's not. It's not going to be perfect. In fact, things might actually go a little crazier. It might get a little loud. Okay, it's gonna get a little loud. But what I'm saying is your life should get better. You should not be in the same place that you've been in forever. Again, we're working with Plutonian energy. We're working with energy of the graveyard. That's the type of vibe that you see what I'm saying? Ancestor. Like to be an ancestor, you have to cross over. So you have to understand that that is the type of like the energy that you're working with. So it should be, I start with a simple test. All right. And the lady that I talked to, she picked up on something that I do. And I didn't know it was a test, but it was just something that I like to do. I go to the grocery store when it's busy. And I just be like, ooh, I'm believing y'all. Y'all need to help me get this. I just be like, y'all need to help me do whatever it is that I want you to do. I'd be like, ooh, we need a parking spot. And I want a parking spot in the front. And I'll go when it's super, super busy. Don't laugh. I will go when it's busy. And I be wanting a front row parking spot. I want a front row parking spot. Period. Like that's what I want. And I get that. I get it. I don't know. Hey, I don't know. You call it luck. I call it they looking out. They are up. They're working. They're moving for me. Okay? Listen. You need like that's just one test that I like to do. I also like to see about these you know what I'm saying? Like these stops lights and all this. I hook me up with that. Hook me up. Give me some money. I need some money. Period. Y'all know y'all could send me a check. Send me some, I need look, listen. Your life should be getting better. Are you doing it for financial gain? No, you're not. You're not doing it for financial gain. You're doing it for enlightenment and for the betterment of your line and your family line, right? But at the same time, we can't honor the ancestors. We can't go and get you what you need if we ain't got what we need. We can't be a good ancestor, right? We can't do what we need to do if, like, how can I change the world with no money? How can we change the world? How can we do what we need to do for our family? How can we make sure that Big Mama's house doesn't get lost to foreclosure? How do we, if we can't pay the property taxes, how can we do all of these things that we, how are we supposed to build generational wealth without the money, without the expertise, without the things that we need to build these things? How are we supposed to do that? How are we supposed to do it? How are we supposed to affect change? How are we supposed to do all of this stuff that we supposed to be doing and we don't have the resources to do it? Do you know? That's all I'm saying. I need a check. Hook me up. Hook me up. What service could I be to anybody if my life was in shambles? What service could you be if your life is in shambles? We need to improve ourselves so that we can improve our communities, so that we can improve the world. That is the purpose. That is the plan. That is the play. You're welcome. Moving on. All right. My guiding spirits, Lamadma. Okay, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but it's basically grandmother spirits. Okay, grandmother spirits. I don't call them that. I call them granny. Okay, I call them granny. I call them all granny. I don't speak the language, so I speak the language that is natural to me. Okay, but if you needed the proper word, I wanted to give you the proper word so that you would know what I'm talking about. But that is what I'm working with. I don't work with all of the extra stuff. I work with what work with me. Period. Okay, trial and error. Sorry. Hold on, let me get some more water. Hold on, let me pause real quick. Okay, trial and error. It's not going to be perfect. It is not going to be perfect. There is no one way of doing anything. It's not. Some people would say that there are people that you should not put on your altar. Okay? In this book, they say you shouldn't put people on your altar that have bad character. Okay? And then, but Mama Zopi says that you should put anybody on your altar, okay, based on that interview, okay, based on what it said. And she is basically saying that we should respect all ancestors, regardless of their past. We should make peace with the past because at the end of the day, that is your bloodline. You see what I'm saying? And I agree with that at the same way, but I believe in both. And that's why I wanted to share this information because it's uneven. You might read something and they say one thing, or you might watch a video or something and they might say something different. It's all trial and error because it's based on you and what works. But I will say that in certain um religions or whatever, is that you have to be careful with the energies that you allow into your vibes because they are hot spirits. They have walked, they have been here, so they can influence the living, good or bad. Okay, and because it is your bloodline, stronger influence. Okay, so ancestors with debt, bad, excuse me, I don't know what's going on. I had some ancestors with debts, bad habits. They can wreak havoc on the living, right? Your negative emotions. So if you're depressed and you're not mentally or emotionally balanced, you would draw the wrong energy. So it's important for you to conserve your energy and control what you consume, right? And so now I want to talk about a strong word of caution when you start doing your ancestor veneration, okay? Because the goal is good character. Did I put that in there? No, I didn't. It's probably somewhere else. The goal is good character, okay? To be a good person. That is the goal, okay? Now, I talked about economic, uh, generational wealth. I did. I talked about that because that is important. That is important as well to have generational wealth and everything of that nature. That is important. But you don't want to get in a thing where you're only doing things for money and it becomes just very egotistical, you know. And because that is not the way either. It's so that you can have spiritual enlightenment, spiritual growth, um, development, right? Not just for you, but for everybody in your line. So when you start working with your ancestors, you have to make sure that you are doing your part and you are being a good person. Okay? All right. Moving on. How to actually put this thing together. I'm sorry. Say you're in an apartment and you on a budget. Okay. Just get you some picture frames or just have their names on the table, right? Their names on the table. And just put the Bible, and you can have it in a box. Now, if you are concerned about discretion, get one of those makeup kits. Okay, those makeup kits, those tiered makeup kits or whatever, and just keep it in that. Okay? Very simple, because all you really need is the Bible. You need their pictures, their names. That's all you really need. It's very simple. I spent more time giving you the context than the actual putting it together, because you can put this together anywhere. You don't have to do too much. Okay? Very simple. You need your Bible for protection. You need your pictures and your names. You don't necessarily have to have the picture, but if you just have their names, that is fine. And you connect, get your little candle, nothing simple, just very simple, nothing crazy. Nothing is easy. It's not even that deep for real. The setup is easy. All right. Say you got an apartment, small space. All right. Now I told you about the budget and discreet. But say you just got an apartment, you on a budget, boom, boom, boom. I'm gonna recommend that you get one of these table tables right here. You can get a wood table, do whatever you want, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Look, $20. You can get you one of these metal. Get you a metal one. I know people like get wood, get whatever. Do what you want to do. But I'm going to say if you get one of these shelves like this, get it in metal, because you're going to be burning candles. If you're burning candles, you want something that is going to be safe for you, stable for you. Okay? A table. Simple. It's a table. I got one right now that I'm using for this live. It's my desk. It's a folding black table. You get them from Walmart for $20. Come on now. You got to start somewhere. You crawl before you walk. You crawl before you walk, honey. Okay? It's very simple. Now, this is what I currently have here with the tiered. Now, if you're looking for something that is like a step, this is going to be called a three-tiered um a three-tiered plant stand. Okay, metal three-tiered plant. It's on Amazon. I have it in my link if you want to go look at it. Okay, and I use that, but I don't really recommend that now that I have that. If you have like kids and a dog, okay, because like if you want to put food down, you can't really put the food down or whatever, because my dog will eat it. But my dog, she's built different. But if you have kids and different things, it's not tall enough. But I do like my setup. I like my setup. But it's all about what you want to do for yourself. Okay, so if you are on a discretion, I would get one of these little trunks, little makeup trunk, something like that. Or a box. A box. Very simple. And then these are your options if you're in small spaces. It's very simple, you guys. You don't have to blow the budget to get this popping off. Because what really makes your ancestor altar work is understanding the energy, knowing who your ancestors are, and knowing where they come from, and understanding their temperament. If you can understand their life and their struggles, and you can connect with them and you make time to listen to them. Hold on. Yes, you make time to listen to them, because we're talking about offerings now, right? What do? You pray. You talk to them like we talking right here. We talking right here. This is just a conversation. Talking to them and just spending time with them, right? That is going to give you a leg up, because different ancestors like different things. I told you that I work with grandmothers. So they like the house clean. So they not really concerned about all this stuff. They want the house clean, which is why they care so much about my dog getting on the doggone altar, eating off the you know what I mean? Like they don't like that. They like that's unsanitary. Do not put anything on this altar. It's gonna get dirty. You don't clean up no way. Once you clean that kitchen out, once you get your hair done, get your nails done, vacuum, Swiffer Swift baseboards. Get these baseboards together. Go on and get this laundry together. I be cleaning up all the time. I am not a cleaner. I also feel like when you wear things that they wear or that they like, or you know what I'm saying? Like I don't really care about pink. Pink is not my favorite color. It's not. Yellow is my favorite. Gold is my favorite color. Pastels, if you will. I like marble, as you can see. They like pink. If you look in their pictures, they're all wearing pink, which is hilarious to me because I kept picking up on this pink energy and I thought it was a specific deity, but it's not the deity, it's the ancestor. And so whenever I wear, like especially like my nails, I'll wear my nails in a pink. I had hot pink in the other one. This is a different color. This is like moon, moon cat eye something. I don't know. But they like that, you know? They like their hair done, nails done, bills paid. Woo, they like a check. Period. If I listen to all the stories of them, they were very serious about that. In fact, all of my ancestors, there were very few things that they took seriously, but the things that they took serious, listen, and they was not playing about it either. Okay, they were not playing. It was not a joke to them. Okay, so you learn your ancestors. You learn the stories that are passed down from one generation to the next, and then you are able. Hold on, my dad is calling. I'll call him back. You are able to make sense of your personality, and you are able to find, well, this is how so and so act. This is how so and so act. You know, you are able to put these things together based off the fact that somebody in the family did that. You know what I mean? And it's just a good thing. And then also you have to have good character. You have to have good character, and you have the good common sense. All right. If your ancestors say do something, you do it. If your ancestors say don't do it, you don't do it. You listen the first time, not the second, not the third. You do what is expected of you because that is what is child. You know what I'm saying? If you can't get in line, they get you in line. Let's talk about it. The ancestors, their role is to act as a guide to help you fulfill your life purpose, which is going to include good character. Okay. Once you start, you must follow the instructions as they are provided. For example, certain food that you eat, you might not need to eat that food because they said it's not good for us. It took us out. I don't think you should eat it. You have a history, a family history. Don't do it. Information concerning other people. This is something that I get a lot. Sometimes people are not your friends. They're not your friends. No matter how much you want somebody to be your friend, no matter how much you want a relationship to work, if they tell you that it's a no, it is a no. And it can be very disheartening because it's like, well, dang, when I'm gonna get my cup? Okay, because you keep telling me that this is not my cup, but and don't drink out that cup either. But it's just like, when I'm gonna get mine? When am I gonna get my thing? Okay, that's very irritating. And then the other part is information relates to protection. So if you know that something is a threat and you don't act on it when they told you, now they have to go in. But they told you before, there's a problem. That's a problem. They don't like you. That's not the man for you. He's not the one. We're gonna talk about it in another video. We're gonna talk about it. That's the next video. That's the next video. I actually thought that we were gonna do that video this time. And then, yeah, I mixed it up. It's my fault. Okay, the other thing is, they also provide you with information on your spiritual path and like your job, like what are you supposed to do in this lifetime, your obligations, if you will. And so You have to do it. If you disrespect the ancestors and the diaspora, you fall from grace. That is a personal theory. That's my hot take. Um, what do I mean by that? You have people like, you remember Stacey Dash? People loved her, but then you know what I'm saying? You know what happened? You know what happened to Stacey Dash? We loved her, but then you know fall from grace. You start aging, you start going crazy, especially when you're working in Hollywood. Okay, and I'm not gonna go into all of that, but you fall because you don't disrespect the ancestors. You just don't do it. You just don't do it. I have a theory. Every celebrity who disrespected the diaspora, disrespected black people, you are black and you disrespect it, you fall. And then when you fall, oh, it's bad. Oh, it is very bad. Okay. And there's nothing we can really do about that. That's something that you have to work out. I don't know. All right. If you fail, this is talking about your life purpose. If you fail, your ancestors fail. So your success is not just your success. Your success is your family's success, your ancestors' success. Okay. All right. And they have to come back again if you fail. So failure is not an option. So your ancestors is going to be like Denzel Washington and Samuel L. Jackson. Okay. You don't get no blood on my uniform. You don't fumble the ball. Okay, how many feet are in a mile? I think it's 5,260. And you gonna run every one of them. You're killing me, Petey. Film studies. I'm sorry. And then you have Samuel to the baseline. What is your greatest fear? Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Let me tell you. That's moving on. I'm sorry. Okay. The other thing, time is a construct. Okay, so if your ancestors say, hey, you need to do something, you need to do it right now. Don't wait, don't delay, and don't hesitate. Okay, get it done. There's no time like the present to get things done. Okay, investments of time. You can invest your time, yes, but if you take care of your ancestors will take care of you. That is in every way. So if you buy your ancestors flowers, my grandmother's spirit. So they like flowers. They like roses. They like different types of flowers. And I'm not gonna say all, they like magnolias and stuff like that. They like that stuff. You invest in it. They invest in you. Just the thought that matters, right? Small time magic, small time work. You invest a little, you get a bigger return. But it's all about where your heart is. Because if you know what I'm saying? Like it's all about your heart. It's not a get rich quick thing. Okay? I don't believe that any African traditional religion is going to give you a get rich quick thing because it's all about spiritual development and it's about building good character, being a good person and getting to the next level of development, right? Discernment and protection, good character and character development. That's what it's about. It's not get rich quick. It's not about microwave manifesting. It's like none of that. None of that. You're not trying to make it quick. We just want to get to the next level, right? And so that's what you have to keep in mind. That's what you have to keep in mind when we're talking about this. Okay. To that though, I will say we do need money. You do need money, okay? We need wisdom and the capacity to hold on to the things that we get, and we need the strength to protect it, right? The demonization, due to the power or lack thereof, we allow. Okay, so when I'm talking about the demonization, um, people don't like the energy because, well, one, they don't have the energy. It's not for them. It doesn't work for them. It works for a specific, if you're not hitting the note, if you don't have the specific chord, then you cannot play the song. You don't have the specific ingredients. So you will be off and it won't work entirely for you. Okay. And then sometimes we allow the demonization because it keeps the wrong people out. As long as other people think that this is bad, well, fine. Think that it's bad. Don't use it. Whatever. Does not hurt my feelings. Okay. It's not perfect and it's not one size fits all, right? So you have to really just trial and error, you know? Okay. All right, Q&A really quick. Um yeah. Say you have an ancestor altar and it's not working. My first question is going to be, are you African American? Because if you are not African American, I can't help you. All right. Because why? And I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be rude. I literally just gave you a history lesson on the type of energy that I am working with. Literally. That energy is not for everybody. There's a clear line in the sand. And I cannot advise someone that is outside of my specific lineage. You would have to go find something within your own. All right. Because if you are on the opposite, if you on the opposition side, anything that I could tell you would probably not be good for you. Common sense. And see, you should be thankful that I would even say something like that. Most people will be like, I can answer all your questions and I can give you everything. But no, everybody cannot give you everything. Everybody cannot be your friend. Everybody is not going, you're not going to get along with everybody. Why? Because there's something in the blood. My blood and your blood don't mix. Oil and water don't mix. Don't mix. And that's not my fault. It's not your fault either. But I'm not gonna lead you down the wrong path. I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna do that. So, like, again, specific. All right, if you're black, I'm gonna say we need to connect. We need to look at our lives. We need to look at our lives. Where have you been where you got an answer, right? You got an answer and you didn't listen to the answer. You didn't do everything that you were supposed to do. Because sometimes it is user failure, okay? It's something that you didn't do. You didn't follow the instruction. You ain't clocking in. Something is wrong there. Or maybe they're giving you the answer, they're doing this and you're resisting something, right? So we got to look, it's a lot to look at, okay? But there is a reason why, okay? All right, next question would be, um what if I have a bad relationship with my mom, or say you have a bad relationship with a parent, okay? But I'm going to say mom, dad, because those are the people, that's how you got here. You're going to have to, like, I'm not going to say you have to, like, because there's a difference between forgiveness and being complicit in people and their problems and different things of that nature. So you have to have boundaries with that energy, but like, you have to make peace because that is again how you got here, right? And then another question was like, what if I don't want them there because of the relationship or the things that, and that makes me sad. But it's just kind of like, ultimately, you do have free will of whether or not you want specific energies into your life. You do. But as my grandmother would say, um, you can't stop me from loving you, right? So even if there's something that happens in your family and, you know, things happen and they pass away or whatever, like, you can't stop them from loving you. You can't stop them from being in your corner. And it's comforting to know that you do have people in your corner, especially in a world, in a time where they thrive on us being alone and being hurt and just in disarray. To have that, we want that sense of community. You can find that in your ancestor generation and connecting with like-minded individuals. So I just want you to know that it's going to be okay. All right, next one. If you want books or resources, because this is an hour and 30 minutes. If we need to cover something else, we'll do it in another video. But Hopeful Books is going to be Mojo Working. Oh, I didn't write the name, the title, the author. And this is a picture I got. Okay. I have it in my Kindle. It's gonna be by Mojo Working and it's Katrina Hazard Donald. Okay, should read that. All right. The next one is going to be Mama Zogby. She has a lot of books. I have her Mama Wati book, um, the Sybil book. I have that. And then this one is the Igun book, the Eva concept of ancestor veneration. I actually have a lot of those books off of just the collection, just because I like to collect information. Also, ChatGPT, thank you for organizing my thoughts and my tribe and my troops. All right, and all things positive and on the up and up. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I made sense. I hope I covered everything. I hope I wasn't like too rude to people that I'm not talking to. I'm not trying to be rude, but it's just kind of like, you know, the energy, it's really trying to protect you. Even you might not deserve the protection, but giving you the protection even then. You know what I mean? And then also just I'm sorry if my voice, like y'all. And I'm sorry we're late. Okay. We had a lot going on because it's wash day. Okay. And then my camera cut off. My voice was going in and out. Like, girl, but I'm gonna still get on this video and I'm gonna still get on here acting crazy. So we're having a good time. But I wanted to share this information. I hope you enjoyed it. I am going to edit this information and maybe pack it down into like a book or something. I don't know. But I just want to share it with you. If you enjoyed it, let me know, and I will see you in the next one, okay? Bye.